This is Barry Zalma speaking for ClaimSchool Incorporated's newsletter, Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, for September 1, 2024. This volume 28, number 17, continues our efforts to provide for every insurance claims professional a source for the insurance fraud professional. Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter continues its 28th year of publication, dedicated to those involved in reducing the effect of insurance fraud. ZIFL is published 24 times a year by ClaimSchool Incorporated and is written by me. It is provided free to anyone who visits the site at zalma.com. This issue contains the following articles about insurance and insurance fraud. First, some claim insurance fraud statistics are a fraud, or are they just an estimate? In an article entitled Insurance Fraud Cost Statistics Are a Fraud by attorney Chip Merlin, published August 15, 2024, claims that insurance companies claim that when claims numbers are simply made up, that act constitutes fraud. If that is so, then insurance company fraud statistics are a fraud. The often wrongfully cited estimate of $308 billion is admittedly a make-believe estimate because no one really knows how much insurance fraud costs, because most fraud attempts succeed. The post-insurance fraud statistics are a fraud appeared first on Property Insurance Coverage Law blog, and as readers of ZIFL are aware, insurance fraud exists, and I publish twice a month large lists of reported convictions of people and entities for the crime of insurance fraud, including in this issue. And since in the last 57 years I've been involved in insurance fraud topics, it's rare that people are actually arrested, indicted, tried, and convicted for the crime of insurance fraud. The convictions are the only reliable evidence of the extent of fraud. It is clear from previous issues that the convictions show multiple millions, if not billions, of dollars in fraud that were established in a court of law, and the billions more that were never subject to a court of law. Then there's an article called The Insurance Fraudster Who Represents Himself is Foolish, and Why a Convicted Felon Incompetently Seeks Shortened Sentences in Her Pro Se Pleading, only to be turned down. Ramiza S. Chowdhury appealed as her own attorney from the order dismissing her petition pursuant to the Post-Conviction Relief Act and lost, so she must serve the full sentence. In Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus Chowdhury, on August 8, 2024, decision of the Superior Court of Pennsylvania, Chowdhury's attempt to get out of jail was found to have been made without an appropriate basis and incompetently. Then there's an article about more McLenny Mosley and Associates issues in this ZIFL's 34th installment of the saga of McLenny Mosley and Associates and its problems with the federal courts in the state of Louisiana and what appears to be an effort to profit from what some magistrate and district judges indicate may be criminal conduct to profit from insurance claims relating to hurricane damage to the public of the state of Louisiana. This is even now being investigated by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, who have yet to make a decision. Then there's an article about 7 years in prison for no-fault fraud. Defendant must pay $46 million restitution in installments On November 1, 2023, defendant Roman Israelov pled guilty to conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and aggravated identity theft in connection with a long-running no-fault insurance fraud scheme. On May 23, 2024, the USDC sentenced Israelov to 7 years of imprisonment, 3 years of supervised release, and $46 million in restitution to be paid monthly, which shouldn't take him more than 10,000 years to pay off the debt. Next is an article on health insurance fraud convictions, where dozens of different health fraud convictions are reported, including a Connecticut dentist who were to pay $1.7 million to settle fraud claims allegations. Stanislav Gintautas, DDS, and Tatania Agrabevyov, DDS, and their business Family Dentistry of Bridgeport, PC, and Family Dentistry of Hartford, PLLC, and Family Dentistry of Stanford, PC, have entered into a civil settlement agreement with the federal and state governments and have paid $1.7 million to resolve allegations they violated the Federal and State False Claims Act. You can read the full articles and the full issue of the ZIFL, including dozens of convictions, and the full 18-page Zalma's insurance fraud letter. Next is an article convicted of a variety of fraud schemes, including insurance fraud. A defendant moved for acquittal. Mr. Okecki was charged with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and conspiracy to commit money laundering, and he was convicted by a jury and moved unsuccessfully to the court for a new trial and for acquittal. Next is an article on convictions other than health insurance fraud, starting with a Kansas man who was sentenced for security fraud. You can read the full article and the full 18-page Zalma's insurance fraud letter, including additional other than health insurance fraud convictions. Next is an article that the state passed a new bill to pay fraud division detectives equal to other state detectives in California, and Governor Newsom has until September 30 to act on the bill. Finally, there's an article about dealing with the nervous person during an examination under oath. When investigating fraud, the professional knows how to exploit the subject's fear of being caught in an illegal act of deception and of suffering punishment. How much fear a person feels at the time of an examination under oath depends obviously on the person's personal background and psychological makeup, but the time that has elapsed between the actual committing of a fraud and an investigative EUO can be of equal importance. The article goes on to explain how to deal with such people. Then you can read the full article and the full 18-page of ZIFL at the link provided in the blog. This video was adapted from my blog Zalma on Insurance and my newsletter Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, which is available free to anyone who clicks on the URL zalma.com/blog and then follows the link to Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter. You can subscribe to the newsletter and to the blog, and you'll receive notice of every blog posting and every semi-monthly issue of Zalma's Insurance Fraud Letter, all free. You can also see these videos without cost on rumble.com and on youtube.com. And if you do, I'd appreciate it if you click on the thumbs up button on Rumble and the like button on YouTube. And if you're interested in further detail about insurance, insurance claims, insurance law, and insurance fraud, please consider for a very small fee subscribing to my Substack publication. Thank you for your attention.